And then we decided to invite a young leader, vibrant, well-articulated, from the civil society at that time. The venue was at LSE, and it was a full house, and the subject was a right of Kosovo for self-determination. The speaker presented excellent and well-documented arguments why Kosovo should become independent. And since then, 2003, his career has undergone a tremendous transformation. But his vision remained the same. Kosovo is independent, unified internally by multi-ethnic diversity and not divided by principles of nationalities. And since then, Kosovo has undergone other changes. At that time, in 2003, Kosovo was importing security, and today with the government, Kosovo is exporting stability. At that time, we had the largest German military base outside Germany in Kosovo. Today, with the support of government, this base is being transformed into the largest training center in the region where the youth are gaining new skills for 21st century. At that time, we had many unique administrative buildings around Pristina, but today we have many companies such as Celaborate, which is partnering with Samsung and providing telemedicine for more than 100 hospitals around the world. Today in Lipjan, we had many soldiers, but today in Lipjan we have one of the first smart cities in region established by University of Business and Technology. So there is optimistic news for Kosovo, and I would with pleasure present you His Excellency Prime Minister of Republic of Kosovo, Mr. Albin Kurti.
Thank you, Astrid. Before addressing you, I hope that all our guests in attendance have had a wonderful journey to Pristina and an enjoyable time here so far. In order to make you feel at home, in Pristina we have chosen this venue which is called Strauss, where the Vienna economic talks are taking place. And we are also very honored to have President of the Parliament of Republic of Austria, Mr. Sobotka, visiting us today as well. We are always happy to have Pristina serve as a seat from which stronger ties with members of the Western Balkan countries and our Western European partners are forged. I hope that our city serves as a joyous and productive meeting ground for many more talks on cooperation in the future. Your Excellency, Ambassador Viktor Jakovic, President of the Vienna Economic Forum, Your Excellency, Ambassador Dr. Elena Kircheva, Secretary General of the Vienna Economic Forum, dear Dr. Liliana Pavlova, Vice President of the European Investment Bank, Honorable Ministers Rizvanoli, Aliyu, and Haidari, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors, representatives of diplomatic missions in Kosovo, Ambassador of Sweden, Westerlund, Slovenian Ambassador Benedicic, Japanese Yamanaka, Greek Vakali, and our Ambassador to Austria, Mr. Plona, and you other distinguished diplomats accredited in Republic of Kosovo. Dear representatives of Austrian companies, thank you for considering Kosovo as an investment destination. Dear media representatives, dear guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to be here and exchange thoughts on regional cooperation in sustainable investments via technological innovation. First, I want to express on behalf of all Kosovars our deep gratitude to the people and the government of Austria for being a staunch supporter for Kosovo's statehood and sovereignty and development, and for providing significant support to Kosovo's European Union integration aspirations, including visa liberalization and membership in international organizations. Thank you very much. In the last year, we have seen great destruction brought by Russian invasion of Ukraine. The events that ensued that last February of 2022 have upended global politics and forced the world to examine to what extent our values were protected by economic actions. In the face of the Russian aggression and in great unity, Europe reframed, redrew, and reinvented its economic policies to hold the same moral high ground as its democratic values. The war in Ukraine, the protests over climate change, and increased resistance to social inequality, in addition to other movements, have marked the end of a time where profit can be decoupled from ethical values. Societies are interconnected organisms where everything informs everything. Aligning our core values with our economic objectives has been the approach with which our government set out to master the tasks at hand. We avoided quick fixes in favor of multifaceted action that would render our society more equitable, resilient, prosperous, and sustainable. That meant that our efforts to curb corruption and crime by launching over 850 police operations were combined with efforts to give back to the vulnerable groups most affected by this corruption. We increased welfare security measures such as subsidies for 340,000 children under the age of 16 and new mothers, and student aid to 66,000 students. We've also launched a youth employment platform that has created over 2,000 jobs in the past 3 months alone. We've looked ahead while honoring our past. We've invested in efforts that supported digital native youth while supporting the centuries-old farming economy. This has entailed extending internet reach in the entire country and organizing the very first edition of STEMiness, a conference that celebrates the women and girls making invaluable contributions to science, technology, engineering, and math fields. It has also entailed increasing government subsidies for farmers by up to 216%. The numbers have shown that we are on the right track. In our first 2 years in government, our tax income has increased by 66%, and our foreign direct investment has doubled. On average, during each year of our government, we generated more revenue for our economy than in the previous 3 years combined. At the same time, the rankings of respected international organizations have confirmed our significant progress in the areas of democracy and rule of law. We have also strengthened our bridges with our Western Balkan neighbors. I think this effort is best represented not by the numbers, but by the innumerable meetings I've had a pleasure to be a part of, where we shared challenges, victories, and visions with one another. As I mentioned the achievements of the past, I'm even more enthusiastic about those of the future. We're looking at ambitious and green years ahead. A recent agreement with the IMF grants us an initial 80 million euros for building renewable and solar energy capacities, with the possibility of another 80 million. And in our energy strategy 2022-2031, we foresee for less than 10 years more than 1,300 of megawatts generated by renewables. We are also establishing our country's first sovereign wealth fund, which we will use as a vehicle for making sustainable investments. Predominantly, we look at a near future of joint work, especially with the countries in the region. Our countries have a great deal in common, and it is our duty as political leaders to remove whatever fragmentation remains and replace it with a shared and prosperous future. In 2023, we are turning a page. The current stability, one that we've achieved after the economic shocks of the invasion of Ukraine and COVID-19 pandemic, allows us to plan for the challenges and capture the opportunities to the future. Questions surrounding supply chains, energy security, ethical technological development, climate action, and environmental sustainability require that we put our best efforts forward to brainstorm, plan, and solve the demands and challenges of the future. Let us work together to overcome these challenges and seize the opportunities that lie ahead. Welcome again, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister, for this very insightful and informative speech. And now I will invite Dr. Liliana Pavlova, Vice President of European Investment Bank, to discuss about the projects that this institution is implementing in Kosovo, especially in the field of infrastructure and education, which is much needed.
Good morning, everyone. Dear Prime Minister Kurti, dear Ambassador Kirchev, Ambassador Jakovic, Excellencies, Ministers, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. First of all, it is really great pleasure and honor to be here in Pristina in Kosovo. Thank you very much for your hospitality, dear Prime Minister, and ensuring not only warm hospitality, beautiful weather. Thank you very much to the whole Vjenës Ekonomik team, specifically to my dear friend Elena, for your persistence in organizing this kind of extremely important events, as you call them, talks, because today we need to talk the talk, but also we need to join efforts in order to ensure, as Prime Minister said, that this region is stable, strong, and not fragmented. The only way forward is that we ensure unity, we ensure stability and resilience of the region, and this could be done only if we join our efforts, despite the difficulties and despite the multiple challenges we are all facing in recent years. Because as we know, the crises were coming one on top of the other. And we had to act promptly, we had to act swiftly to address each and every crisis coming one after another. And as we are saying nowadays, uncertainty is the new certainty. But as always, in times of uncertainty, we are given an opportunity. We are given an opportunity to really to stay strong, to have more forward-looking and visionary strengths, and based on lessons learned, based on our sometimes intuition, which we do have a lot in the region, I can say, really to have the strength, despite all, to build partnerships, to continue with investments, and to make sure that our economies, our businesses, our investments are stable, and not to delay any investments. Because as me representing the European Investment Bank, I can say we should not delay the investments. Continuing the investments, attracting foreign direct investments, mobilizing private sector, public sector resources together. This is exactly what we need at this very moment. And unfortunately, as what we can see in Europe, we still have huge investment gaps if we are to compare with our international peers. And here, our role as European Investment Bank is indeed to make sure that we invest in time of crisis, and to make sure that we support the energy transition, the decarbonization, digitalization, investing in connectivity, because this is what banks like EIB are doing in support of European policies, government policies, and to support huge and massive investments which are needed in Europe, in the Balkans, in Kosovo, in crowding in private investments as well. And speaking on European policies and perspectives, there are two key important policies. One is decarbonization and climate adaptation, as well as digitalization. And I can say that our strong commitment of the EIB group is to mobilize 1 trillion euro of investments by the end of 2030 in Europe and beyond, in the Balkans, and to make sure that we build a resilience, and at the same time we to develop a mechanism to ensure a just and fair transition. This is of extreme importance, of course, to us. And the energy crisis and the current crisis should also be seen, and it is already, I believe, seen as an accelerator of the energy transition. And this is exactly where, again, as an EU Climate Bank, we are going to step up our support in providing additional financing as part of the REPowerEU package and as part of the energy package which was developed for the Western Balkans region. And what I can say that we have last year, in order to be able to step up our support, created a branch, a special branch, we call it EIB Global, to strengthen our local presence in the Balkans, in all the countries we are operating globally, to make sure that we can provide more tailor-made, more specific support in delivering these important investments. We are the stronger, one of the, let's say, the largest multilateral international financial institutions, but as well we are one of the main partners in rolling out the Global Gateway Initiative, which is supposed to invest more than 300 billion euro in 5 priority areas like digital, climate and energy, transport, health and education and research. And this is exactly what we are now going to focus our attention on. And speaking of the Western Balkans region, I can say we are expanding our local presence. Soon we are going to open also our office in representation here in Pristina, like everywhere in the region. We have invested so far more than 10 billion euro in the region in the last 10 years. Only last year we have invested almost 900 million euro. We have a very strong pipeline of projects here in Kosovo. Later today we will further discuss them with the government, and with a strong pipeline we do have in supporting infrastructure, transport, environment infrastructure, in supporting connectivity, digital transformation of schools as well, health infrastructure, supporting SMEs. So I can say we are investing in projects in the region and here in Kosovo in the wide variety of sectors we can support. But in order to make sure that we are successful in making the region strong, resilient, and not fragmented, as I said in the beginning, we need first to stay united. We need to act now. We need to act together, and we need to act in cooperation and to ensure that the common regional market is operational, because it is key in going forward in ensuring economic stability, competitiveness in the region, and building the right skills and capacity. So here I can conclude by saying you can fully rely on the support of the European Investment Bank in expanding and the economic development of the region and investing in the much needed regional infrastructure as well as in regional productivity and skills. Repaying the young people in the region is of critical importance, and this is where we are going to step in and to act together. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pavlova, for this speech. It's very important the European Investment Bank continue to inject funds in the region, and also with your speech you injected dose of confidence and optimism much needed in this region. There is a slight change in the schedule. We will go to the ceremony awards, where the Vienna Economic Forum award to His Excellency Prime Minister of Republic of Kosovo.
Years, I think I have my auditorium voice. According to the 15 years of excellent cooperation and contribution to the economic development at national and regional level, this is the normally award the Vienna Economic Forum is granted in November to the big forum. But now, being here in Pristina, we want to celebrate the 15 years of independence and membership of Kosovo to Vienna Economic Forum. Mr. President.
It's my great honor to present to His Excellency Prime Minister Albin Kurti of the Republic of Kosovo this award. It says for 15 years of excellent cooperation and contribution to the economic development on a national and regional level. Sir.
Thank you very much for this award that I'm receiving on behalf of Republic of Kosovo. Thank you very much, Ambassadors Kircheva and Jakovic. Let us work together. So the Go Southeast slogan of Vienna Economic Forum means Western nearshoring. So Western nearshoring can be called otherwise with another expression as a synonym, Go Southeast, and when we say Go Southeast, we mean Western nearshoring. Thank you very much, and it's a great pleasure and honor to have you here and to receive this award. Very much appreciated.
Dear guests, we start with the first session. I think we are good in terms of the timing and the schedule. This is a Kosovan efficiency. Now we will discuss sustainable investment in time of crisis and fragmented environment. The region has been and remained resilient throughout the pandemic and the Russian-Ukrainian conflict. Just after the COVID performance of Kosovo was outstanding. But then with the rising prices and inflation, it's pushing especially the private sector in the limits of operating. But still, we do have foreign direct investors coming in Kosovo. We do have many companies that will present here today. But prior to that, we have three guests here that we will start first with Minister Artana Rizvanoglu, that she's going to inform us about the sustainable energy strategy that is being implemented by the government. Minister Rizvanoglu, the floor is yours.
Thank you, dear Ministers Aliou and Haidari, dear Ambassador Schwartz, Ambassador Kircheva, Ambassador Jakovic, dear Dr. Pavlova, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors to Republic of Kosovo from partner countries, and Ambassador of Kosovo to Austria, Mr. Plana, dear guests. As we are speaking here today, policy making and investment decisions have never been more challenging in a sense, but also in another way, they have never been easier. And I will say more to this later. We are making policy at a time when there is extreme uncertainty and there is a fragile security situation in Kosovo and globally. Russian aggression in Ukraine has reminded us something that we have known all along, that energy security equals national security, and this is something that we must never forget. Meanwhile, it has also become clear, and it's becoming clearer by the day, that climate action is needed urgently if we are to have a livable planet. So, energy independence has become also more important than ever. Energy independent from Russia, but also from other countries with authoritarian regimes that also tend to be those that are providing us the fossil fuels that we are using currently. Renewable energy is clearly one way to ensure energy independence from these countries, but also to make sure that we take care of our environment and we fight climate change. Hence, what I said earlier, while it has never been more difficult to make investment decisions and policy decisions, it's also never been easier because in this context, there are clear no-regret investments, and those are investments in renewable energy and energy efficiency, which is why in our energy strategy, these are our top two priorities. And we are already making good progress in actually bringing these to life. In terms of specific investment that we are already planning, we have already advanced over the last year with several renewables projects, including a 100 megawatt solar farm at Kek, the one that will be one of the biggest energy generating capacities and one of the first new generating capacities, significant generating capacities in the last 40 years, and one that will help Kek, traditionally a coal-based plant, to be part of the transition, and the workers of Kek to be part of this just transition rather than be resistant and be left out of the transition. At the same time, we are planning some of the most innovative projects in the region, but actually wider too. We'll also be building the first solar district heating plant of 200 megawatt thermal capacity, of 50 megawatt thermal capacity, which will be serving over 60,000 citizens of Pristina with heating, and this will be one of the largest in Europe. The biggest energy grant in decades has been in the history of Kosovo, actually, has been secured in the agreement with Millennium Challenge Corporation last year, a grant of $202 million, which will be used for developing storage capacities of 170 megawatts for 340 megawatt hours of reserves, which will be used and will be essential to actually integrating all of the renewables that we have planned in the system. Over the next 10 years, we plan on developing 1,400 new renewables capacities, these being mainly in wind and solar, roughly the same amounts for each of these. And on this note, I'm happy and excited to share with you that this Friday, on the 12th, we will be launching the first auction for solar power in Kosovo for a capacity of 100 megawatts to be built in Kramovic in Rahovec, in public land, where the government has created perfect conditions by securing grid connection, easy access to vehicles and equipment, a favorable terrain for construction and installation. And we hope and know, judging from what we have seen by now, that there will be a large number of reputable investors which are interested, therefore providing the perfect platform to start a new support scheme, which is competitive, which is transparent, and which will enable the best prices but also highest quality for our consumers going forward. We also have ambitious energy efficiency targets. We are aiming to have 266 kiloton equivalent, oil equivalent savings, or 3 terawatt hours of savings by 2031. We recognize that on the one hand there is a great space to improve our energy efficiency, to reduce our demand this way. And also, on the other hand, this is also a great means to boost the economy, to generate jobs, particularly in the construction sector and related sectors, a sector which is already strong in Kosovo. And this will ensure that it remains so for the next decade. In energy efficiency, certainly we have a lot to do. As a country, we consume more energy. We are more energy intensive, 2.5 times higher than the average of the region, and 3.5 times higher than Europe. And this is, in a way, also good news, because it means that actually with this scope to save energy, to use energy more efficiently, there will not be needed so much expensive investment in generating capacities as we would otherwise. We've already made great progress in this sense. We've had record investment in energy efficiency over the last year, with 40 publicly owned buildings, public institutions having been renovated to the highest standards, and with another 30 projects this year, as well as with new and innovative projects that are being launched last year with subsidies for households for efficient heating, and this year these will continue, both subsidies for households for efficient heating appliances as well as other home appliances. This will be expanded for businesses with a 5 million euros for grants for businesses that want to change the technology or heating appliances for their business in order to save energy. And for the first time, with energy efficiency residential scheme for individual households. And this will all be done with the support of the EU, with the energy emergency package for fighting the energy crisis, which has enabled us to roll out these huge programs and reach again another record year for investment. So while our path is no doubt a challenging one, as it is going to be for everyone else in Europe, we are confident that with the foundations for a new energy sector that we are laying, but also with the support of our partners, we will be able to make it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister Rizvanola. Now I will invite Minister Aliu, Minister of Environment, Special Planning and Infrastructure of Kosovo.
Thank you, Mr. Ponza. Dear Ministers, Zanoli, dear Minister Haidari, dear Ambassadors Krisheva, Yakovic, dear Dr. Pavlova, dear Ambassadors, esteemed guests, it gives me great pleasure to speak to you today about the significant sustainable investments in times of the crisis and fragmented environments. As we are currently facing a situation after a global pandemic, a Russian aggression in Ukraine and economic uncertainty, we need to take a long-term view and prioritize environmental, social and governance issues. It's on us and we have a responsibility to create positive change and build a better future for our future generations. The Balkan region has experienced several political and economic upheavals over the past few decades, which have resulted in a fragmented environment that makes sustainable development a significant challenge. Therefore, sustainable investments can play a crucial role in promoting economic growth, protecting the environment, and addressing social issues to create a more stable and prosperous future for the region. Renewable energy is one area where sustainable investments in Kosovo can have a significant impact. Despite significant potential for solar and wind power, Kosovo currently relies heavily on coal for electricity generation. Investing in renewable energy projects can help reduce greenhouse gas emissions, improve air quality, and promote a transition to a low-carbon economy. These investments can also create jobs and support local economies, which is crucial for our people. I'm proud to say that we are making significant improvement in Kosovo when it comes to energy efficiency performance in buildings through the law on energy performance on buildings and the incentives that the government has been giving out. Investing in energy efficiency is crucial for promoting sustainability in Kosovo. Many buildings in the country are old. They are inefficient. Due to the informal developments after the war, we have a lot of our buildings that already need to have improvements on them, leading to high energy bills and contributing to greenhouse gas emissions. Sustainable investments in energy efficient buildings and appliances can help to reduce energy consumption, improve indoor air quality, and provide long-term financial benefits to building owners and tenants. Our innovative policies for development and job creation, combined with our environmental protection policies, complement each other. The investment we are making in renewable energy, such as solar 100 megawatt project in Kek, the project for accumulated reserve with the largest capacity in Europe, the first project in Balkan for central heating with solar panels, and many other planned projects will significantly help reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Although Kosovo is not yet a part of the United Nations Convention on Climate Change, we are showing our determination to undertake actions to reduce our environmental impact and contribute to the global effort to protect our planet. This year, we are preparing to unilaterally ratify the Paris Agreement, which will be preceded by Kosovo's first law on climate change. Climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution do not respect national borders, and their impact affects people and ecosystems worldwide. Therefore, we are actively lobbying for Kosovo to have the right to dialogue and access the UN funds for climate change adaptation and mitigation. Sustainable investments can play a critical role in promoting economic growth, protecting the environment, and addressing social issues in the Balkan region. While there may be challenges to investing sustainability in fragmented environment, the potential benefits for the region and future generations make it opportunity worth pursuing. We, as a responsible government, are committed to making Kosovo a better place, economically prosperous and environmentally sustainable. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister Aliu. Now I will introduce Dr. Christian Schwarz, Head of Corporate Development, Merger and Acquisition, Internal Affairs at Kelag, Austria. He will address two issues. What are the major opportunities for the countries related to the investment in renewables? And he will describe what are the key challenges on the way to a greener energy production.
Distinguished ministers, the ambassadors, dear ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor for me to be here from part of an investment company, from an investor already active in the region, an investor already active in the Republic of Kosovo. And it's also an honor for me to strengthen your back in really confirming what you're planning to do, because I think this is the only way forward. If I may just briefly outline who we are. Kelag is one of the big energy producers in Austria. We're about 1,500 megawatts of installed capacity, entirely in renewable energy sources, so predominantly hydropower plants, wind farms, and also solar farms. We're the local grid provider for the province of Carinthia, which is in the very south of Austria, serving 18,000 kilometers of grid. We are the biggest nationwide heat producer and heat service company in Austria, and overall we are serving around 350,000 customers in Austria. To sum up, we are exclusively producing our energy from renewable sources. We operate internationally in the Balkan region as well, also in Kosovo for more than 10 years. And in total, Kelag is operating for more than 100 years, so we do have some experience in what I'm talking about. Sorry. Moving on, why is what both ministers addressed, why is it the right way to go into renewable energy production? There is the one argument, security of supply. This is something we learned especially in the last year. Europe is a very poor continent in terms of natural resources, but what we can do is we can push forward in increasing our own produced energy, and this can be done by hydro, solar, and wind farms. So this is the argument for independence. Second, of course, renewable energy is the only way to go to climate-friendly energy production. We have to go away from fossils, and it's clear that this is not possible to be done in 1 or 2 or 3 years, especially also here in the region. But if we don't start now, we will never reach the goal. Third argument, if we produce at home from renewable sources, it will be the most affordable energy source. I will show on the next slide this. Local resources can be used as well as we can create and save jobs. If we now go to the cost argument, these are figures from 2021, so they might be a bit different now because cost of financing have increased. but this graph shows the levelized cost of energy, LCOE, by technology. On the very left, very low, you see photovoltaics. Of course, photovoltaics on the ground is the cheapest one, followed by also wind farms, hydropower plant. Lignite is more expensive, hard coal is even more expensive, and on the very, very right end of the graph you see natural gas power plants, which is something we were all able or had to endure last year. Next argument, emission. If you see on the left side of the graph, it's photovoltaic, wind and hydro with not zero, but almost zero CO2 emission. Then of course all thermal productions, lignite, hard coal, or combined in gas, have dramatically different figures. We are all aware of this, especially here in Kosovo, and we are also aware that this cannot be changed from one day to another, but as I said, we have to start now. Speaking also from an investor's point of view, what is important for an investor? What needs an investor? An investor needs a political framework that enhances investments and a legal framework that enhances investments. An investor needs stable and concrete strategic guidance for investments. We heard some ideas about this now. We need explicit, effective and transparent policies. We need an open communication with the public, that there are also truths to the public that needs to be spoken out, that might not be always just in favor of a poll or whatever. And on the legal side, there is the need for a legal framework which is stable, and there needs to be transparent procedures for obtaining permits. And we're here in the region now for many years, and allow me to add that there is a room for improvement on this slide for the whole region, and also for Kosovo. To sum up, investments in renewable energies offer comprehensive benefits for the country and the region and require a stable regulatory framework. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Dr. Schwarz. Now I will present Ms. Merita Jushinca-Peja from the Raiffeisen Bank. She is a Chief Financial Officer and she is specialized in ESG, and she will present why businesses is important to include them in their business plan.
Again, good morning, everyone. Dear ministers, dear ambassadors, dear ladies and gentlemen. It is my honor to have an opportunity to speak at such event and represent Raiffeisen Bank Kosovo. The topic of ESG is not a passing trend. It will not go away, and it is a responsibility that falls under each and every one of us. Even though the ESG can be considered as a new in terms of the concept, the principles behind the ESG are for decades. Raiffeisen Bank International, for more than 130 years, has been combining financing support with the social responsibilities. For more than 130 years, Raiffeisen Bank International has been supported different sustainable businesses and projects that have a positive impact on society and the environment in general. In line with that, Raiffeisen Bank Kosovo has introduced the ESG strategy focused on 4 main pillars. It's worth to mention that Raiffeisen Bank International is the first Austrian banking group that signed the UN Principle for Responsible Banking, committed to implement 6 key principles. In line with it, Raiffeisen Bank Kosovo has introduced ESG strategy structured in 4 main pillars. The first one is employees, in-house ecology, community investment, and core business. We start with the employees. Under the employees, we would like to mention the diversity and inclusion. We are happy to say that the commitment for the diversity can be seen starting from the top. We are the bank led by the woman CEO, successful woman CEO, which is the very few among, one of the very few among Kosovo CEOs. Other than that, we are happy to share with you that 50% of the management board belongs to female and 40% of the management team in Raiffeisen Bank Kosovo are females. So this is a commitment that we have done, and we will not stop with it because the number is growing in yearly basis. The second area is in-house ecology. We are continuously supporting different activities that will have a positive impact on the environment in general. Just recently, we have installed a solar panel in our building. We have changed the vehicle fleet. Just few activities toward having a greener economy and greener agenda in our country. Third one, we would like to mention community investment. This is also one of the key strategic objectives in Raiffeisen Bank Kosovo. This year, Raiffeisen Bank Kosovo is celebrating the 20th anniversary. For more than 2 decades now, we are constantly supporting different projects that have a positive impact in the environment and society in general. And the last but not least is core business. Currently, we are over 10% of the loans related to the ESG, and we aim to have 30% by 2030. It's not only the financing the businesses, there are other 2 areas which are very important to us. It is internal awareness and education program that we are providing to our employees, and then the same we try to pass to the customers by regular advisory visits to them. Here, we would like to share one success story that we have financed last year. It's a renewable energy project, solar panel installed in one of the regions in Kosovo, but for sure we will not stop with it. We have in the pipeline a lot of other projects regarding the renewable energy, which we believe it will impact and it will positively impact the Kosovo greener agenda. For sure, in the environment that we live today, with a dynamic and unprecedented environment, there are challenges as well. There are only few that we would like to mention today. In general, we consider that there is lack of knowledge regarding the ESG. Very limited data in the market for carbon-intensive industries in Kosovo. No company in Kosovo has non-financial report because it's not obligatory for the moment. EU taxonomy is hard to be implemented, especially for the micro businesses due to the NACE code, and no regulatory framework yet in Kosovo regarding the sustainability, environment, social, and governance. Transformation into sustainable future, it is our key objective, and it will remain our key objective in Raiffeisen Bank Kosovo. And we are here, and we will always be here to support our customers to transform into sustainable future. Once again, thank you very much, and it was a great opportunity for us to present the activities that we do towards the ESG agenda in Kosovo. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Jushin Sapea. Now I will introduce Mr. Genon Messeraya. He is the CEO of Sigma as a subsidiary of Vienna Insurance Group in Kosovo. The floor is yours, sir.
Excellency ambassadors present here, Excellency Minister, distinguished guests, and ladies and gentlemen. I'm pleased to represent today here the insurance company Sigma, which is, as Pato said, is part of the largest insurance group in the Central and Eastern Europe. It is Vienna Insurance Group. The Vienna Insurance Group has the A+ rating. This is from the certification of Standard & Poor's as a rating agency. And Sigma, as its subsidiary in Kosovo, is following the same standard, and that's why it is the highest rating in the insurance market in Kosovo. And this is certified from the regulatory institution, which is in Kosovo, Central Bank of Kosovo. During the last 10 to 15 years, Sigma has accompanied the economic development of the country and through different products which have been from the beginning products which are more typical for Western country, developed country, like CR, business interruption, GTPL, D&O, BVB, etc. We have supported the public and the private investment in Kosovo for all these years. These investments have been carried out not only from local companies, but even from big and renowned multinational groups like Bechtel, like the concession carrier of the Pristina airport, of the electrical utility, and other local SMEs and international organizations. During this time, Sigma has covered big risk in Kosovo through the back-to-back agreement with A+ rated reinsurance group, which are part of the marketplace Lloyd's in London. And only to give you an idea about the risk of which Sigma has covered during the last year, 2022, I can tell you that it is 59 billion euro, which is 8 times higher than the GDP of Kosovo for the same time period. This is why these companies are playing a systemic role, and not only us as Sigma, but the whole industry in Kosovo has begun to play a systemic role in the country. Now, the reason for being successful in Kosovo is not only for us, not only the full compliance with the local legislation in the country, but the full implementation of high standard of a multinational and successful group in Kosovo. We have implemented very well defined standards, processes. We have a very well designed system in our company. We have adequate reserves for claims, which as a counterparty in the balance sheet they have the financial assets. Our financial assets are diversified in different instruments like treasury bonds and time deposit. Even time deposit are diversified in different banks, referring to the rating of each respective bank. And this is for the safety of our customers. We have a full integration of systems at Sigma. It means we have integration of production system, of financial system, and other supporting systems which allow us, even in time with high volatility, as it is the time after the pandemic, with high inflation rates, we are in position to very well calculate the risk premiums and to go toward the customers with offers which are not below the risk premium. That's why these are the key factors why we have been successful and we have achieved to have a sustainable business in the insurance market in Kosovo. But on the other side, I'd like to mention some other problems which should be soon addressed from the respective institution in Kosovo. We have a situation with bonus-malus system in Kosovo, which decreases the prices every year for the insurance company by 6%. On the other hand, we have inflation rate. We are talking about spare parts for the MTPL products. We are talking about healthcare institution costs, which are everything is inflated at least with 20%. We have the highest level of non-material claims in Kosovo, the highest maybe in Europe by 70%, which is really very high. And all these variables push as inflation the cost of the company. And if the situation will on a medium term go in such trends, the revenues coming from compulsory products goes down every year with 6%. The inflation in cost is more than 20%. The system could collapse in medium term. And that's why are needed strong reforms from regulatory institutions We need a new law which could address all the problems of the industry and understanding from the politics for the necessity of such kind of reform. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Messarea. In terms of regulatory reform for insurance sector, next time maybe we'll have a Minister of Finance or Governor of Central Bank here present. Now I will introduce Mr. Mustafa Kemal Kafadar, which is a senior advisor at the Presidency of the Republic of Turkey Investment Office, Corporation Partner of Vienna Economic Forum. Floor is yours, sir.
Dear ministers, dear ambassadors, diplomats, business managers, distinguished guests, I'm also very pleased to be here in Pristina today and to talk with you about energy and infrastructure policies and their relations to create a sustainable economy. Actually, we all agree in which position the world is, especially because of the global warming. And we also agree on that what has to be done. I believe strongly on international cooperation in sharing the experiences, especially, so that everybody knows what the others do and how they do that, which kind of problems they face and which kind of challenges and how do they try to solve it. Therefore, I would like to share with you the Turkish experience, what we have done in the last 10, 20 years in terms of transformation, in terms of trying to build a sustainable economy for the future. Unfortunately, we do not live in the best times of the history of the world, but we have a big responsibility to give to the next generation a better world. So, in Turkey, we had a rapid growth of population in the last 20 years, and parallelly we had also economic growth. And as I said, the global warming forced us to think and discuss about our fundamentals in environmental policies and economical policies. So I'll come to that, how we did it, but let me tell you how we changed, how the country changed in the last 20 years. For example, our primary energy demand has doubled, and installed power generation capacity has been exceeded threefold. The length of highways from 6,000 kilometers to 28,000 kilometers. The amount of cargo handled at ports from 190 million tons to 440 million tons. The length of high-speed train line from 0 to 1,460 kilometers. And the number of airports from 26 to 57. So, all that process was not so easy. Of course, we also ratified the Paris Agreement in 2021 and tried to implement what we have promised in our country to our people and internationally. I think the governmental subsidiaries, the incentive program is essential in that sense. The program in Turkey, we call it YEKDEM, means supporting the renewable energy investments. So the government supports and incentivizes the new incentives. The financing, to create new financing opportunities, possibilities for the companies, we had two models. One is public-private partnership, where the public and private companies coordinate their weaknesses and strengths so that they can cooperate together. The second model is build, operate, transfer, where the company who builds the project, who makes the project, realize the project, operates it 10 years, 20 years, 25 years, and then transfers it back to the public. The new resources are also very important. For example, especially after the Ukrainian-Russian war, we have seen, we all follow very close how the hydrogen technology is developing. To create sustainable economies, countries have to have a long-threatened resiliency. This is very important. And there is, in that respect, there is no one-size-fits-all formula. Every country has to find his own way. But as I told at the beginning, in this point, the international cooperation and sharing the experiences is vital. This job, this is of course easier to say as to do. It's a long way and very difficult. Every country has to find its own way. I said this job reflects diverse priorities, combination of abilities, technologies, resources, policies, new financial instruments. I tried to give you main points of the Turkish policy, Turkish experience. I don't know how much it will help for finding your own way in your activities. I hope it will help you. I think to the organizers again, and to the sponsors especially also, and thank you for your patience.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kafadar. Now we have Mr. Wolfgang Kroppel, CEO of ESNA Group.
The Excellencies, the ambassadors, dear distinguished guests, Thank you. I'm proud to be here. I'm pleased that I can introduce our company group, and bring some insight also to the transition of the energy systems. It is not strictly confidential. It is it is for the public what I want to show to you. So this is just something which was in the presentation. I just saw it. It is a mistake. ENSO GmbH is an asset manager. Is an asset manager working worldwide and mainly focused on renewable energy systems. We focus also especially on hybrid systems, so that we combine energy sources and combine the efforts there. We are acting as an asset manager for our portfolios, for our clients. We are also doing M&A transaction, and we also operating plants, and we are developing projects and plants. This is, as I told you, we are acting worldwide, but focus is Europe. We have a very experienced team with more than 40 years of experience in the energy business. I'm personally also my whole life in the energy business in different situations. And we are supporting the whole life cycle of an energy investment, so from the development to the execution, financing, operation, and if it is at the moment in time, we are divesting for one of our clients our Norwegian portfolio, which is very valuable. This is a transaction we are doing at the time being now these days. Just to give you some outlooks where we are, what we are doing. We are centered in Europe, in Northern Europe, Central Europe. We are also in Turkey, where we are very happy with our operations. And together with our partners and with our sister companies, we are also able to go to other markets like Asia, beginning from Central Asia, and also to South America. We have also new markets in the focus, so we are talking with partners for future efforts in Africa, and we have also a special region. This is Ukraine. I think hopefully this horror will end in some time, and there will be a lot of things to do, especially in the energy system. And Ms. Olga Bosak is here. She is responsible for our strategic development of the group, and she's also Ukrainian, and we are very pleased to have her in our team. Just short what we do. As we do with asset management, we do project development in operations, portfolio development, M&A transaction, and project in special for special projects. So Minister mentioned that Pristina is building up this solar heating solar district heating. We are also contracted in Styria for a similar project, which is to be built in Graz with 350 GWh for the district heating of Graz. So there are a lot of similarities, and we are, as a project manager, contracted here. So what we are doing is we come from hydro. We have a lot of experience in hydro, also in solar, wind, and we are stepping into also with partners in the hydrogen production. So for one client, we develop at the moment in time a 100 megawatt solar plant with 20 megawatt hydrogen production. In that case, it is good because the client itself is the consumer of the hydrogen, because that's one of the most important thing how to transport, how to sell the hydrogen, and how to get it commercially viable. What I want to point out is I think everybody is in the same line that we have to have a transition and transitioning into renewables, energy transition. But it goes along with a lot of other transitions. It is not just to erect some renewable power plants like solar plants or wind farms. This comes across with a lot of other challenges, and Irina did a quite good analysis. I think that they have put up a four-pillar strategy to energy transition, which means that there is a need for the operations. So we have distributed energy sources, we have distributed nets, we have a lot of challenge for grid operations, and this has to be challenged. It is not only to strengthen grid, so it's also a question of how to on an intelligent way, in a clever way, to operate grids and operate also flexible sources, to flexibilize grid operations, to flexibilize grid services, and also to have an eye on necessary sources and storage systems. So I think that especially also hydropower pump storage capacities are heavily needed in the future. We need rotating masses in the system in the same way as we put volatile and volatile solar and wind sources to the grid. I think that's very important. It's not only in strengthening, as I mentioned, it's also a question of smart grid operations. It also needs some movement in market design, how to regulate in the wholesale market, how to build in the prosumers. So we have a lot of individual producing plants. We have additional need. It goes also into a heavy regulatory challenge to address this market change. For sure, there is also innovation needed, and this to go into the future. I think I mentioned storage is really a big question. So we need intervention. We need the usage of existing storage facilities, but we also need power to hydrogen, power to steam, power to heat, battery systems, and all these should be work together in a smart way. So we will also have to implement IoT and artificial intelligence in the transformation. It's not just to put the sources onto the grid. And it will need also other business models and development of business models. I just take one example. So I think everybody or Europe is facing a huge increase of electric vehicles. Yeah? If we see that electric vehicle is a huge distributed battery, yeah, and if you take for example into account that the average car in Austria is driving just 20-25 kilometers per day, the whole other this takes, let's say, 1 hour, depends on if it's in the traffic or not, let's say 1 hour, and the other time, 23 hours, the car stands still, and this is for the majority of the cars. So you have a huge distributed battery, And with smart grids, you can use this battery. This will support to, let's say, reduce just the efforts for to strengthen the grid. But it has also to be implemented and to managed in a quite a smart way. I think one of the most changing things will be the tariff system. I personally have also an electric vehicle. In the future, I think I don't want to pay for 1 kilowatt hour for charging, but what is my need? My need is I want to go in 9 o'clock in the morning to the office, have 20 kilometers to drive, and then at 4 o'clock or 6 o'clock I have to drive back or to drive to a client or somewhere else. So what I want to have is I want to pay for the service. So, and in the meantime, the grid operator can use my battery, but if it will serve, let's say, my need that I can go from A to P, what I've asked for. I think a pay for services will be, I think, would be a paradigm change also in the energy system, and yeah, I think all these 4 pillars with their themes are interactive and connected to each other, and I think all this has also some regulatory background and needs, so this has to be also thought in advance when regulatories and laws and regulations are designed. Yeah, what I also can just say in our experience, we are a long time in the region. We are investing in Albania, we are acting in Croatia, we are acting in Serbia. The most important thing for investors is, I think I can just repeat that what Dr. Staat said, that the legal system should be reliable and political system should be reliable. So it's trustworthy in the systems and in regulations and permits has to be the case. Then investment will come, and investment can attract it because there is a great potential, and it's a great country, great compliments to the development you have had and to the development you're looking for. Thank you for the attention.
Thank you very much for your presentation, Mr. Koppel. Now it's a turn of the final presenter, Mr. Tomasz Wasławicek, Head of Project Implementation at Hydrofill in Austria. The floor is yours, sir.
Dear Excellencies, dear Ambassadors, dear Ministers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm honored to have the opportunity today to talk about water security in the Western Balkans. So currently we are implementing a project together with the International Institute for Applied System Analysis, also based in Vienna, for the World Bank, looking at water security in different countries. So, as we know, pressures are increasing, putting the water system and our societies at stake. Looking at the costs of water insecurity, water scarcity due to an increasing gap between the demand and availability. We face a higher frequency of water hazards, causing infrastructure damages, lives and economic losses. Inadequate access to water and sanitation services with the associated social, health and economic losses. Environmental degradation due to insufficient wastewater treatment, inefficient use of water resources, and ecosystem degradation. So we have the vision to achieve water security for all. For this we have to sustain our water resources. we have to deliver adequate or excellent water services, and we also have to build resilience. Just some details about the Water Security Diagnostic Initiative from the World Bank. What we're trying to do is also to give the countries, or allow the countries, to undertake a rapid assessment of the current, but also the future water security, the challenges, the risks, but also the opportunities. Yeah? Also benchmarking water security amongst neighboring countries, but for the decision makers, maybe the most important point is to place water at the center of the economic development agenda and provide recommendations for water security improvement. Yeah? So if you have certain challenges, but if you also can say, yes, we have a certain action plan to overcome these challenges, yeah, then this is a support also for the decision makers. So our methodology, how we implemented this water security assessment, especially deep dive assessments in Western Balkan countries, we were looking first at the current diagnosis. Yeah, we had stakeholder consultations, stakeholder workshops, yeah, but also looking at the future trajectories. Yeah? What are the negative impacts of climate change? Yeah? How is the economy developing, GDP development, etc. Yeah? And then to draft the country narrative to tell the story about water security. Yeah? The current situation, but also the future situation. And then in the second step, together with the stakeholders in the countries, yeah, we try to develop or identify first the actions and develop a set of actions, an action plan, how to address water security challenges and how to increase water security in the region and in the countries. So what are the water security challenges? The water security challenges in the different countries are of course different, but there are at least 4 challenges every country is facing. The first one is there is high investment needs to comply with water-related EU directive. This is the Water Framework Directive, the Groundwater Directive, the Drinking Water Directive, the Urban Wastewater Treatment Directive, the Floods Directive, etc. We can also see, and this is maybe the biggest bottleneck, there is a lack of capacities on all different levels, national level, ministry level, regional levels, but also at utility level, yeah, operating level. We are talking here about really technical staff operating the systems. So if you construct a new wastewater treatment plant, for instance, you need people to operate and to maintain it. And you have to think about, at a very early stage, to get the right staff, educated staff in these positions. Because just looking for them when you've completed the construction of the wastewater treatment plant, then it's a bit too late. There's an institutional and organizational complexity due to the transboundary river basins in all the regions of the world, but in the Danube region it's pretty complex with so many different countries. And of course, climate change. There is an increase of floods and droughts. Looking especially at Kosovo, yeah, that is a water-scarce country compared to the neighboring countries, but also the water-rich countries. It's hard to say a country is water-rich when you just look at national level. So you have to look also at the different sub-regions. You have to think about the distribution of water, the spatial distribution and the timely distribution. So what we are also doing, especially together with our partner, the International Institute for Applied System Analysis, to look at the future trajectories, to look at the different scenarios. So we don't know our future exactly, precisely, yeah, but we can make some certain assumptions, have a range of different scenarios, and if we are aware of these scenarios and the impacts, yeah, then we can also develop specific action plans. But there are also water security opportunities. So early alignment with the EU directive can attract donors and helps to meet future deadlines. Just for instance, so looking at the different countries, we have countries that are member countries, we have countries that are candidate countries at the beginning of the accession process or in the middle of the accession process. Yeah. For instance, Croatia received 2.9 million grants as a member country, just for the implementation of infrastructure projects in the wastewater sector. Yeah? Grants, not loans. Yeah? So these high investments also means that there are a lot of business opportunities for the private sector. So for consultancy services like we are doing, for designs, for contractors, for supervision, for supply of technology, supply of goods. Yeah? So, and the EU accession process, we can also see from many different countries, this is really a boost for necessary water reform. Most of the countries have already aligned their national legal framework to the EU directives at a very early stage to attract, of course, funds, but also to boost necessary reforms within the country. And, of course, the awareness of climate change. So appropriate actions can be only set if you know the negative impacts of climate change or the different scenarios. Yeah? So my final sentence would be, you can just have sustainable investments if you also are looking at certain bottlenecks at an early stage. Yeah? So you need the capacities for maintaining, for operating this infrastructure. Yeah? Talking about asset management, my colleague before, infrastructural asset management is very important when we talk about sustainability of water infrastructure. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Thomas. I want to thank all the presenters for the presentations, and we have about 10 minutes for questions and answers. So I think that the floor is yours from the public. Whoever has question to ask, to know more information about certain issues. Gentleman there.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I want to congratulate all of you for the nice organization. My name is Dimitar Klisarovski. I'm the country managing director of Vjenës in Macedonia. We provide dialysis services in Macedonia, and Vjenës is a Swedish-born company providing life-enhancing renal care to 39,000 patients worldwide in 23 countries. In the region, we are present in Macedonia from 2018 and in Albania from 2019. My question is for the Minister of Economy. How could we get information regarding the future plans of the government of Kosovo for the opportunities of private-public partnership in the healthcare sector and investment in the healthcare sector with the interest for us in the renal care services? Thank you.
Minister?
I would say, thank you for the question. I would say the Ministry of Health would be the correct institution to start talking to.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other question? Okay, so I'll continue to ask. I have a question for Mr. Alio, Minister Alio. Mr. Alio, now what are the key challenges in terms of environmental protection in Kosovo?
Well, actually, the first main challenge is building the system. Since Kosovo is a young country, we are still on the building the system to respond to the development that has been quite fast after the war. Kosovo is a transitional country if we compare to other post-socialist ones. Also, there was a war, but what is something very distinguished to other countries, such as post-socialist and post-war, is that we had, for a quite long time, an institutional gap during the Milosevic period, that after the war we had to start from the beginning, building all the institutions from the beginning. For one aspect, it had some advantages, but for other aspects, as just for the development, that it was a huge development after the war, because of a huge potential from our diaspora, from international community presence that has been here. There was a huge potential that brought a quite fast developments, especially on the urban growth. But we were lacking strong institutions to follow and to plan properly this development. I think this was, kind of, in one hand, good to see a positive loss, but on the other hand, it's weak institutions that couldn't follow, brought the situation that now we need to adapt to the current situation that we're in. And I think building capacities to respond to this situation in which we are, but this actually brought a fragmented environment in the country. This is actually the main challenge.
Thank you, Minister. I have another question for Minister Rizvanoli. Just before the conference, I received an invitation for the official opening of auction on 12th of May. Do you anticipate interest from foreign companies in this auction, and are they divided into lots, or is it just 100 megawatts, one company that will get the license?
Thanks for the question. We have put a lot of effort as a ministry in preparing for this auction. This will be one lot, so one 100 megawatt solar power plant located in publicly owned land in Kramovec in Rahovec, where the government will be providing a 30-year lease, guaranteed price assurance, streamlined administrative procedures with government agencies, and of course no land acquisition costs. We have made sure to secure that the land has good irradiation and favorable terrain for construction. Already conducted an environmental assessment study by Kosovo standards, but of course the investor will be expected to conduct their own study. And we have secured also the nearby grid connection. So we wanted to make sure that to make it as easy as possible, as attractive as possible for investors. We have already seen over the last year, particularly after the Russian aggression in Ukraine, the interest of investors, including from reputable companies, some of the largest, most reputable companies in the world, both European, American, and from other countries. So we are confident that there will be sufficient interest. We are committed to making this a fair and transparent process and to setting an example not only for investments in energy but also in other fields. The kickoff will be on Friday. I'm not sure the time has been set yet, but Friday afternoon. But in addition to the launch of the auction, we will be having a pre-bidders investors conference on the 25th of May. This has not been made public yet. And here investors will have a chance to come in person to receive any clarifications on the auction documentation, on the bid documentation that they may want to have. And it's indeed very exciting, and we look forward to seeing the results in a first of what will be a series of investments, not only in renewable energy, in power generation, but also a series of investments in district heating. We are currently conducting feasibility studies for district heating systems in 8 municipalities in Kosovo which currently have no district heating. and we very much look forward to starting with these investments as soon as the results are ready. So there will be a lot of investment opportunities, and I'm happy to see also that there are many Austrian companies here today, and I hope that you will keep interest in Kosovo and follow these developments.
Thank you a lot, Minister Rizvanoli. Now we will focus a bit on the private sector. We had two speakers from Raiffeisen Bank and Sigma who are present in Kosovo, but I want to ask participants from three other companies, do you have any concrete plans to invest in Kosovo? Mr. Schwarz?
Well, we are invested in Kosovo for more than 10 years now. At the moment, any new investments are halted. We're in the process of sorting out our issues with authorities, and as soon as this will hopefully be done soon, then Kosovo might be open again for new investments.
Hello. Yeah. No, we are not invested in Kosovo at the moment in time, but as I told you, we are invested in the surrounding countries. We have a stable operations in Albania, and Albania has a joint energy market or electricity market with Kosovo. And we have also investors which are keen to take risks. So I think we have to see that there's great opportunities, but there's still risk, not only in Kosovo, but in the whole region. But yes, we want to go here, we want to come here, and we want to invest. I took also the opportunity weeks ago when we had been here with a delegation of the Austrian Wirtschaftskammer, or the RVO, to get in contact with interesting people who we can partner up.
Thank you.
As a consultancy company, we are not doing investments, yeah, but maybe some of our studies, some of our reports can attract, of course, investments.
Okay, thank you so much. We have, let's say, 1 minute left before we wrap up the session. Did anyone from the public change their mind and will be courageous to ask a question? Okay, if someone from participants want to add any closing remarks? Okay, then it's left for me to. Okay, thank you so much for all of you for staying with us. It was really a pleasure to host, to moderate the Vienna Economic Forum. I hope that you were able to be informed more about what's happening in Kosovo, in the region, and we look forward for the next events. And I think with this event we injected a dose of confidence and optimism for Kosovo, because we are part of the Balkans, and as Churchill said, the Balkans produces more history than it can consume. Hopefully we're going to start to produce more goods than we can consume, so we can export the rest to EU. Thank you.